Hi, this is Howie from Prime Your Pump, entertaining and actionable self-improvement. And today's lesson is all about how learning from other people's experience can actually impede your learning. So, what we're going to talk about now is about good ways to learn and about experience. So experience is of actual minimum value, okay, in learning, especially in the eyes of the beholder. And let me give you an example. Bree, okay, went to see the new Star Wars movie. She said she loved it. I went to see the new Star Wars movie and I hated it. And I'm a real Star Wars aficionado. Bree had one experience with the same movie. I had a different experience with exactly the same movie. So the problem is you can't trust other people's experience to be a perfect guide for you to make decisions. So keeping that thought in mind, let me just tell you a couple of stories. And I may have mentioned this story before, but it's relevant now. How you can't learn effectively from other people's experiences. As a matter of fact, I'm going to tell you a story now where one almost killed me. All right. I was talking to someone, and this is years ago, and I said, I get these headaches, and they're really terrible. And she said, I get the headaches too. And we talked about it. It seems like exactly the same kind of headache. So I said, well, what do you do? She says, well, my doctor gave me these pills. So they were little red pills. So I said, well, give me one. My head's killing me right now. So I took one and I started to go into anaphylactic shock. Okay, they took me over to the emergency room and they realized that these pills had codeine in them, and I'm deathly allergic to codeine. So there's a perfect example of how another person had a fabulous experience with the medicine. To me, it could have been death. All right? So you really have to consider trying to learn through other people's experiences. Let me give you another story. Again, a true story. When my daughter was about 4, I took her to a petting zoo. And, they have those little fences with all the little white animals in it, a goat, a duck, a chicken, geese, just like that. And I'm on my knees and my daughter's standing next to me, so we're shoulder to shoulder. And, we're petting a goat or a duck, I don't remember what it was. And all of a sudden we're simultaneously tapped on the shoulder. And I turn around and it's the head of about a 20-foot long boa constrictor that the zoo guy is holding to show all of the kids. And to me, the head looked as big as a shoebox, with that tongue coming out, with that red tongue coming out, like that. Well, I didn't know whether to shit or go blind. I mean, the adrenaline started pumping. I jumped back. I am scared of snakes. And here was the biggest snake I ever saw right in my face, okay? I'm sweating. It was horrible. My daughter, my 4-year-old daughter, jumps up, grabs the snake's head, and it's going to the tongue. I wanted to vomit. I mean, I felt like Jane in a Tarzan movie, all right, where Jane was being dragged down into the swamp by some snake, and Tarzan had to go in and save her. A, there was no Tarzan to save me, and B, I'm not transitioning from one sex to the other, so I was very uncomfortable with the entire idea. So we go home, Allie runs in the house and says, Mommy, 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 I saw this great animal, I want to have one, it's fantastic. And then I walked in the house with salt stains here, like this, and my wife said to me, quote, what the hell happened to you? And I said to my wife, the same thing that happened to her, pointing to my daughter. Okay? And philosophers call the snake the given or the data. The snake is the data both Allie and I learned from. We had the same data, we had the same experience, but we walked away from it with entirely different interpretations. That's why it is so dangerous, to try and learn from other people's experience. So with that fact in mind, let's talk about, using it or losing it and making it actionable. So before you go about using somebody else's experience to make a decision, make sure the other person's experience is applicable to you. Poke around it, make sure there's no holes, like with the codeine. And when should you use it? Well, whenever you're going to use somebody else's experience to make a decision. For example, my friend Ted, he says, I love this movie. All right. Now, I happen to know that Ted and I have very different tastes in movies. So if Ted says he loves it, that probably means that I'm going to hate it. So I know that now. All right. But if I talk to somebody else and they say the movie was great, I might blindly go see it and hate it. So you don't want to do that. So that's when you use it, whenever you're going to use somebody else's experience. And what do you think? Can you think of a situation where you use somebody else's experience, okay, to try and make a decision? And how did it work out? Can you think of situations where it did work out, where it didn't work out? And what I'd like you to do is to kind of comment on it and let us know about those situations. That's all for this week, but until next week, remember, okay, to read and share our other blog posts, and if you like them, click like. And please remember to subscribe to our weekly newsletter. And until next week, remember, prime your pump.